this afternoon, 3:30. It is. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Oldham County Fiscal Court. I'm Judge Executive David Vogel. It's a little bit after 2 o'clock here on the, what is this, the 5th day of January 2016. We welcome all of you. If you happen to bring a cell phone with you today, please turn it to off or vibrate. And we welcome our home viewers who are with us this afternoon. I'd like to ask everyone who's able now to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Magistrate Likens.
Here.
Magistrate Tice.
Here.
Magistrate Leslie.
Here.
Magistrate Greenwell.
Here.
Magistrate Sparks.
Here.
Magistrate Eldridge.
Here.
Magistrate Dye.
Here.
Magistrate Logsdon.
Here.
Judge Vogel.
Here. Having all members of the fiscal court present, this meeting is now in session. Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Discussion? Under, I left my actual piece of paper for the thing over in the other room. Under human resources, let's put an item 3 under that, or that's a resignation. All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. First thing we do at our meetings here is I'll open up the floor to a public comment. If there's anyone here today who would like to address the fiscal court about a community or state issue or national issue, you're invited to do so. And I do believe we have a representative here. We have 2 people. All right. Pardon? Skip something. Public minute. All right. We're going to read our minutes first. Just sit down for a second, okay? And
are you doing?
go ahead and sit down.
Okay.
Had a slight bit of New Year amnesia, and I forgot that we didn't read the minutes. So let's go ahead and read our minutes.
December 15th, 2015. The Oldham County Fiscal Court convened at a regular meeting at 2 p.m. with Judge Executive David Vogel, County Attorney John Carter, and the following magistrates in attendance: Brent Likens, Wayne Tice, Bob Leslie, Steve Greenwell, J.D. Sparks, Kevin Eldridge, Bob Dye, and Michael Logsdon. Judge Vogel stated Magistrate Sparks will be leaving the meeting early due to a professional commitment. Approval of agenda. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Logsdon to approve the agenda, moving the chamber presentation after the first public comment. Motion carried unanimously. Approval of minutes. Motion made by Magistrate Leslie and seconded by Magistrate Likens to approve the minutes of December 1st with a spelling correction on page 625. Motion carried 8-0-1. Magistrate Sparks abstained. Public comment. County Clerk Julie Barr announced the special election on December 29th relating to alcohol sales in Oldham County and the need for poll workers to serve as alternates. Contact her at 222-0047. Magistrate Sparks apologized for his demeanor at the November 17th fiscal court meeting, specifically his remarks toward a staff member. Chamber and Economic Development presentation. David Bazanis, newly appointed Executive Director of Oldham County Chamber and Economic Development, presented information relating to his appointment and the Chamber's initiatives, goals, and objectives. County Administration, payables. Motion made by Magistrate Sparks and seconded by Magistrate Dye to approve the payables. Motion carried unanimously. Budget transfers. Motion made by Magistrate Sparks and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to approve the budget transfers. Motion carried unanimously. Community business, first reading, proposed ordinance for fiscal year 15-16 budget amendment. Melissa Horn presented for a first reading proposed ordinance number KOC 15275 relating to the budget amendment for Oldham County budget for fiscal year 2015-16 to include unbudgeted receipts from insurance reimbursements, county road aid, administrative offices of the court's fees, and state and federal grants, increasing the receipts of general and LGEA funds by $1,303,559 and increasing expenditure accounts by $1,303,559. The second reading public hearing is scheduled for January 19th, 2016. Magistrate Sparks left the meeting. Second reading, public hearing, proposed ordinance, amendment to the golf cart ordinance. Judge Executive Vogel presented for a second reading proposed ordinance number KOC 15-52071, repealing and replacing ordinance number KOC 15-52065, relating to permitting the operation of golf carts on county roads, and the floor was open for public comment. There being no public comment, the public hearing was closed. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Eldridge to adopt ordinance number KOC 15-52071, repealing and replacing ordinance number KOC 15-52065, relating to permitting the operation of golf carts on county roads. Motion carried unanimously. Contracts, agreements, and resolutions. Resolution, amendment to the lease agreement with Bluegrass Generation Company. Oldham County Chief Financial Officer Stan Clark introduced resolution number 01-12-1515 relating to the lease agreement with Bluegrass Generation and responded to questions from the court. East Kentucky Power Cooperative Representatives Mike McNally, Executive Vice President and CFO, and Tom Stacknick, Treasurer and Director of Finance, provided information to the court and responded to questions. Motion made by Magistrate Tice and seconded by Magistrate Leslie to authorize the Judge Executive to sign resolution number 01-12-1515 relating to the lease agreement with Bluegrass Generation, amending it to assign East Kentucky Power Cooperative as the new lessee, and execute and deliver all agreements relating to EKPC purchasing reference personal property, including the lease termination, general warranty deed, satisfaction of the bond, and subsequent bill of sale. Motion carried unanimously. DLZ contract modification number 3 for the Allen Lane widening project. Motion made by Magistrate Eldridge and seconded by Magistrate Dye to authorize the Judge Executive to sign the contract modification number 3 with DLZ relating to the Allen Lane underpass project. Motion carried unanimously. Committee recommendations and reports. Human Resource Committee work detail crew leader job description. Motion made by Magistrate Logsdon and seconded by Magistrate Lankins to approve the job description for the work detail crew leader position for solid waste and recycling. Motion carried unanimously. Finance Committee 2016 salary increase. Motion made by Magistrate Tice and seconded by Magistrate Dye to increase each department's salary budget by 2% effective January 10, 2016, which will be calculated using the current salaries of all eligible employees, and to suspend longevity pay for 2016. Motion carried unanimously. Road Committee, release of performance bonds for Poplar Woods, Section 1 and 2. Motion made by Magistrate Tice and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell upon recommendation of the county engineer to release the $90,000 performance bond for Poplar Woods Subdivision Section 1 and the $40,000 performance bond for Section 2. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Tice and seconded by Magistrate Eldridge to accept into the Oldham County road system the following roads: Poplar Woods Drive, Yellow Poplar Drive, Poplar Ridge Road, and Poplar Point Way. Motion carried unanimously. Board appointments. Oldham County Water District Board appointment. Motion made by Magistrate Logsdon and seconded by Magistrate Eldridge to reappoint Milburn to the Oldham County Water District Board with a term to expire January 3, 2020. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Eldridge to reappoint Jody Curry to the Oldham County Water District Board with a term to expire January 3, 2020. Motion carried unanimously. Extension District Board appointment. Motion made by Magistrate Lankins and seconded by Magistrate Leslie to reappoint Ken Hepperman to the Oldham County Extension District Board with a term to expire January 1, 2019. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Leslie and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to reappoint Ron Miller to the Oldham County Extension District Board with a term to expire January 1, 2019. Motion carried unanimously. Second public comment, none. Business and announcements. Fiscal Court members wish the community a happy and safe holiday. Magistrate Lankins requested Judge Vogel restate his speech regarding the significance of the Pledge of Allegiance. Magistrate Tice announced the Oldham County History Center is making good progress on its building renovations. Magistrate Greenwell thanked everyone who attended premiere night at the City Place for the movie The Legacy. Magistrate Dye thanked the road department for repairing the busted storm sewer grade at Moser Farms Road. He expressed his gratitude to the first responders working the holidays. Magistrate Logsdon stated the speed limit is 35 miles per hour on Highway 22 at Bridge Hill and asked drivers to obey the speed limit and drive cautiously. Judge Executive Vogel congratulated Nancy Tice for being named Oldham County Person of the Year. He thanked Karen Greenwell for all of her hard work in organizing the premiere night for the movie The Legacy. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to adjourn the meeting. Motion carried unanimously. The meeting was adjourned at 3:32 p.m.
You've heard the reading of our minutes from the December 15th meeting, the last meeting of the year 2015. Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Are there any corrections? Magistrate Greenwell.
Judge, just for the record, I want to note that I wished everybody a Merry Christmas.
Any other additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
I abstain.
You abstained because you had to leave the meeting.
Yes, sir.
All right. Time now for public comment. That time during the meeting when anyone in the community is able to address the fiscal court. And you have up to 4 minutes to speak. And you know, Jim Key is fired up and ready to go for the new year. So.
No, I just had a couple questions since y'all passed since the liquor law got passed. Are you going to put a 5% tax on it like the city did? And also, if you do, what does that money actually go to? You know, and hoping maybe you could answer that for me, Judge. You know, because that's
All right, sure, do the best I can. At this point, there have been no decisions regarding what provisions would apply in the alcohol ordinance. The state Alcohol Beverage Control Board has certain rules and regulations in effect that would be adopted into our ordinance. In the next few days, we'll be organizing a committee to study existing ordinances around the area and ordinances that we have received from state ABC. We'll be attempting to develop our ordinance around the best aspects of the of existing ordinance out there, plus any local provisions we need to develop an ordinance for Oldham County. Whether or not there will be a tax on the sale of alcohol is a question that's still up to the fiscal court. It hasn't been, no decision
that'd be
been made
voted
on.
on then.
Right, it's very likely there will be some tax imposed on this. You mentioned LaGrange has a 5% tax. Tax here may be 5%, might be a different number, could be less. The purpose of money raised through taxes on alcohol in the county is to be applied toward enforcement of laws relating to alcohol beverage control and to public safety. So how that will actually play out, we don't know. We're too new in the process to have a game plan established at this point. We'll be getting one together in the next 45 days. We expect to have an ordinance in effect probably in I'm going to say, a month. So a lot of the details will be filled in. When we get the draft ready, we'll be having a first reading. Everybody who's interested in the community will have an opportunity to read that draft and respond to magistrates about things they like or don't like that could be in the proposed draft. But I don't think it'll be highly controversial, probably not much different than LaGrange's, although it could have some differences.
I was hoping we wouldn't go to that because I think that hurts the local guy that wants to have a place like a filling station or whatever that sells alcohol. Because, you know, you figure $1 a case is what you're talking if you do beer and that, or fifth whiskey, probably $1. And, you know, if they work in Lowell, which most of us do or did, you just stop and pick it up, you know. Forget coming out here and buying it, you know, and I think you're hurting the local guy on it.
Well, that's, you know, certainly an aspect of to be considered. I would say this, this ordinance passed by a significant margin in Oldham County. Nearly 20% of the electorate voted. 60-some percent, I've forgotten the exact number, it was 63?
Or 3.
Somewhere in there, voted in favor
Yeah.
of this. there was a multiplicity of reasons probably for those votes. Some wanted the convenience, some wanted the product available. There were certainly some people that felt that money that is going right now for alcohol enforcement in Jefferson County by purchases made in that county, that money could just as well be directed to Oldham County by many people. So who knows exactly what all the reasons were, but they all added up to a significant majority.
Yeah.
We're going to study this carefully. We're going to implement an ordinance that is going to be Oldham County positive in the sense that we're going to be very careful about what we do, what we allow, where we allow it, how many licenses that we allow, and we'll be very respectful of the entire community, the wish to have it available, and also the wish to have it not available or controlled. So I can't answer specific details you're asking because these gentlemen here haven't really had a chance to sit down and put their minds to it yet. But we're getting the materials together right now that will allow us to start studying the issue and moving forward.
Okay. Well, thank you, Judge.
Yeah, thank you for asking. Appreciate it, Jim. You know who you are, but please state your name and address.
Dewey Watering, 3520 Rock Rose Lane, LaGrange. I didn't come here to comment, but an interesting thing just came up in this comment. I know that the law's passed, or it passed like almost 2-1, and that's what the people apparently want. But I find it odd that you pass a law that you know, or apparently you think is going to call for more safety. Why in the world do you pass a law that's evidently going to make the highways more dangerous? So much so that you need more money for your police department. Just food for thought. I don't quite understand.
Okay, let me clarify that. I don't believe I said what you heard. I thought I said. What I said was that the law requires that any tax imposed on alcohol be spent in enforcement of public safety in regard to alcohol. So I didn't say that we had to pass a tax or that we would increase our budget for it. I just said that that's what the law requires a tax to be spent for, if there is a tax.
Okay, then I understand that. Then my question would be, if you don't think there is going to be needed, why would we pass a tax? That's my simple question. Why would you pass a tax unless you think you're going to need more money for safety? And if you think you're going to need more money for safety, why did you pass the law to start with? That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the fiscal court?
Yes, I would. I'm
Please state your name and address.
Robert Augustine, Bardstown, Kentucky, and I am the new field representative for Senator Rand Paul for Oldham County. And you guys have been very welcoming today, and I've gotten to meet most of you, and I hope that we can continue to build on this relationship. I want to offer my services to you guys, that if you have constituents that may have issues with federal bureaucracy, with disability, with Social Security, things of that nature, please feel free to call on me. I will make sure that every person has my contact information. And if you have issues at the local level that would be related federally, such as EPA, things of that nature, also I would be very happy to serve you guys on behalf of the senator to help Oldham County in any way possible. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions or anything for Mr. Augustine?
What's his phone number?
My phone number, and this is, I'm still learning it. It's 502-572-8334. And that's also for the benefit of anybody who is at home watching this. They can also call me directly at that number as well if they need the assistance of our office to deal with any federal agency.
Magistrate Leslie, do you have a question or anything? Or?
Yes. I'd like Social Security, I'd like disability, and I'd like to do some fracking in my backyard for oil.
Okay, well, I can put in that request.
But
I cannot make any promises on behalf of the senator, but I can definitely put in your request for fracking in your backyard.
I appreciate it.
I will do my best.
Manager Sparks.
Does the center have a field office in this area? Where's his closest field office?
Closest field office is probably the federal building in Louisville. But I would like to work with you guys to see if maybe you guys can help me work closer to Oldham County in kind of like you've done with other representatives. And we could work out something. We could talk about it. I'd be happy to spend some time in Oldham County. That's my job, is to be in touch with you and your citizens.
All right, well, welcome. We're happy to work with you and have you here and learn about our county, and we'll be look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you, and I appreciate your all's time and hospitality.
Thank you. Manager Sparks.
Yeah, I want to bring up an issue about the Ash Avenue flooding today. And I know Beth is here now and Jim Urban are here now. Could I talk about it now, or should I wait till the other business at the end of the schedule? Will they still be here?
Yeah, they'll still be here.
Okay, I can wait till the end.
Let's wait till the end then. All right, we'll move on here with the next issue, and that has to do with county administration. We have our payables here, and if anybody would like to make a motion, we'll go ahead and pay the bills.
Judge, I make the motion, we pay the payables.
It's moved and seconded. Were there any questions that came up that you had when you were looking those over? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. So moved. Thank you. Next item has to do with surplus property, and I believe our county treasurer will discuss that. Melissa Horn.
We have a 2009 Ford Crown Victoria that was involved in a one-car accident with a deer, and it has been totaled by CAECO. So I'm asking to surplus it for the salvage value of $44.72. And Copart Auto Auction will be responsible for removal and salvage of the vehicle.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, the 2009 Crown Victoria that we have here that was totaled. Go ahead and get rid of that vehicle for $44.72.
I have a question.
Edgewood Sparks.
Yeah, are we just using that vendor because they're the only one that does salvage that style, or don't we usually with surplus equipment put it out to bid, or auction?
No, somebody want to answer that? The Magistrate Eldridge?
How this works out is there is a huge company called Copart that picks up all salvage. You know, if your vehicle is at my place or KNS's place, wherever, Copart is the vendor that comes and picks those up and takes them, and then they auction them off. The actual insured is paying us the $44.72. Copart will haul it to the auto auction, and then whatever it brings there is what the insurance company will get. That won't have anything to do with what we get.
Right. Once we accept the check from CAECO, it's their vehicle, not ours.
Okay, so it's not really surplus equipment, it's insurance issuance, or I don't know what the term would be. But it's not like we're surplusing it and then sending it out to the public, offering it out. It's not our property because we received the cash from CAECO.
Insurance settlement.
It's an insurance settlement, right?
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions about this? Magistrate Dye.
Do we strip out the electronics and stuff on the car before it goes away?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Melissa, thank you, Chief.
Could you repeat that?
Right. This vehicle was being used by our animal control, or I'm not animal control, but our canine officer. There's a special screening between the front and back seat because the animal in the car, that'll be removed as well. Mr. Greenwell.
Wasn't hurt, was he?
There were any injuries involved in this?
There were no injuries to the officer or the canine.
Okay.
And I believe Chief and I have talked about this, and they're going to try to limp on through with their excess vehicles, if you will. I forgot.
Pool.
Pool, yes, with a pool vehicle until our next round of purchases. So, any other questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. All right, now we have the sheriff's budget to approve. Is that Magistrate Tice?
Yes, kind of thought the sheriff would be here today, but since he's not, I'll be happy to do it. He's got his budget that is before us on anticipated revenues and fees that he collects, and it's in the amount of $1,936,900, and I'd like to make the motion that we approve that. We've also met with the sheriff.
All right. Moved and seconded that the fiscal court approve the sheriff's budget for $1,936,900. Any discussion on that? Magistrate Sparks?
Yeah, Judge. The only thing is, I'd like to see, I thought we were supposed to be doing year-over-year analysis, so how come we don't have last year's budget numbers of the years before on here so that we can understand, you know, where these numbers are? Is it plus or minus from last year?
Okay. The Finance Committee like to...
Good question. Finance Committee met with them. This budget is actually less than what it was last year. We geared off of what our revenue was for 2015, and he went back and we worked with him as well as his people worked to produce this. We were at a little, I think, Melissa, if I'm correct, a little over $2 million last year, and revenues came in a little short of that, so he had to adjust backwards on that. Maybe we should have done the other, to be quite honest. We didn't think about it. We just reviewed this, reviewed his previous numbers in committee, and then came forward with this.
Okay. I trust you guys.
We'll probably have this, and I'll go back to Melissa one more time. Now that he is on the same yearly as fiscal year as we are, then that'll all come in view when we come up for our at the end of June, 1st of July. Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Now, under contract agreements and resolutions, we'll discuss the Radio Land lease agreement renewal. This is for road department equipment, and I believe Melissa Horn has the information that she'd like to present the court.
This is a renewal of the radio equipment lease for the road department. It's $311.75 a month. It's an increase. The previous agreement was for $290 a month. It's an 8% increase.
I make a motion to approve or have the judge sign the new agreement.
Second.
Anybody have any questions about this lease?
Do we have, yes, I have a question.
Okay, Magistrate Sparks?
Do we have any other radio agreements that we could combine? Do we have, you know, like our dispatch has a radio agreement also? Do we have any of those that we can combine or work with a single vendor to get a reduced cost?
I don't think so. Kevin, do you have a perspective on that? Please come forward and answer.
I think that this is for the repeater only, I believe. If I read the back of the letter correctly, it's not actually the whole radio system.
Right. The road department historically has operated off a 800 megahertz frequency that Radio Land has had in the trucks. So it's a mobile-based system. It's completely separate. Ours is a VHF system, so they're not compatible. Radio Land was our vendor for a long time. Then we switched over to RCS for several issues, but the road department has always kept Radio Land as those radios. Hopefully, maybe in a year or two, I might be coming back to the court for a combined radio system that might combine all entities to include the city of LaGrange and LaGrange Utilities and Oldham County Water and things like that. So that's what we're looking at right now. But right now, for the road department to come under our system, they would have to buy all new radios and put those in their trucks because they're not compatible with our system.
So as these break down, are you gonna upgrade to the new system or
I have
just
nothing to
wait?
do with those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's totally the road department. That would be a question for Wes.
All right, well, we'll have to look at that when an opportunity is available to combine services.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, all in favor of allowing me to sign this lease with Radioland for $310 a month for road department radios, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. We have the license and support renewal for our Logic website software. Is that right? Or is it Ogic? It says Ogic on this.
It
so
does.
I meant it to say Log. I thought it should say
OGIC.
Oh, it's for our GIS
Right.
system.
It is for Logic.
Well, Logic is the name of Louisville Metro's system.
Okay.
This is there's two documents to be approved. One is the annual renewal of the support for the ESRI software, which is what the GIS system runs on. 3,000 of that is paid by Fiscal Court out of Planning and Development's budget. 2,000 of it is paid out of the OGIC, Oldham Geographic Information Consortium budget. So it's a total of $5,000 annual renewal for the license. The second part of it is a $9,000 upgrade to the GIS server. This is what's used by OGIC for that website. This upgrade will allow us to drop the hosting that is currently done by a company out of California, and will allow better integration of the software between planning and development and OGIC.
All right, is there a motion that this request be approved?
I'll make that motion.
Second, anyone?
Second.
Discussion? Magistrate Sparks?
Yeah, the document we have is for $5,000. We don't have one for $9,000. Is that, didn't you just mention that?
We'll pull that one out.
I've got it on mine.
I updated the document this morning. It's what was sent out last week or earlier this week. Should have had both documents there.
No, that just says it in a written document, but it doesn't, in a memorandum, but it doesn't give you the bill and stuff. Okay.
My question, Judge, was did you need two motions on this or just one for both?
Well, they're connected. I think one is enough. I mean, it's all part of the same service.
So didn't I read in your initial letter that the 9,000 is actually a reduction over the cost before?
The $9,000 purchase will allow us to stop expenses of about $1,000 a year.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, are there any other questions on this purchase and maintenance renewal program? Magistrate Greenwell.
Judge, I'd like to, I don't think a motion's been made
We
yet.
made a
we
motion.
did.
Okay, okay.
Seconded it.
Magistrate Dye.
Unless I just got a technical question, because you said we're dropping the hosting for $1,000 a year, but that doesn't, not going to have any effect on the way it still shows up on our website, correct?
Correct, it will not. Right, it'll still be available on our website. Allows us to host it in-house instead of paying
okay.
someone
All right.
else.
I got it. All right, thank you.
So it stops a lot of moving of data between locations.
So I guess my other technical question would be, would it speed up your access to it? Like you mentioned, the Logic system earlier, it's, I use it from time to time in Metro. It just pops right up, and sometimes ours a little kind of drags. Will it speed it up any?
It's possible. One thing that will happen for sure is that the data will be more current than it is today.
All right, okay, thank you.
Manager Sparks.
Yeah, so we have our new software that we're embedding in planning and zoning. We've verified this functional with it. Will there be any increase in our bandwidth needs? Will it slow our network down? Do we have enough people accessing GIS if we have it internally that we have to?
We should be fine with bandwidth, yes.
Thank you very much.
Further questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Do you want that document back?
Now we're going to go to the Human Resource Committee recommendations, and Magistrate Logston.
Yes, sir. The Human Resources Committee met. We have 2 job descriptions. We'll tackle one at a time. In front of you, the first one's accounting and payroll specialist. The Human Resources would like to recommend that we accept the job description that's written out in front of you for the accounting payroll specialist, please.
You're making that motion?
Making that motion.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion on the responsibilities and the outline or
There's no
the
change.
details of this job
There is no
description?
change, Judge. This is just, we just wrote it down so it's in front. We'll just have it when we go to hire somebody. If we ever have to, it's in front of you, so
Okay.
there is no changes.
Manager Sparks.
The only question I would have is, I read through it and it seems all, very reasonable. I'm curious, should we not have some kind of a continuing education type experience that we give these employees to make sure that they stay up to date or get additional skills while they're
Well, that's
doing
always
these
a possibility with all employees. Yeah, we would hope that we would continue their education in their department, in their position.
Okay.
Sorry, I just ran down the hallway. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Right. One of the duties in here is openness to change and willingness to learn new skills. So I think learning new skills could certainly encompass learning more detail about your function.
Yeah, great. I appreciate it, Judge.
Are there any other questions about the description? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
All right, thank you, Judge. The second one is the Administrative Service Coordinator. Again, the Human Resources met, we approved these, so I'm asking for a recommendation of the court to approve the job descriptions for the Administrative Service Coordinator.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there a discussion on this job description? All right. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Third item that we added to committee reports and recommendations has to do with the term a resignation.
Yes, there's a resignation on there from dispatch. That would be Autumn Tipton, and that would be effective January 1st.
I'd make that motion, Judge, to accept that resignation.
Second.
All right. Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you.
you.
Under Road Committee, we have Magistrate Greenwell.
Thank you, Judge. We have a erosion control bond reduction on Brentwood Section 2, and County Engineer Beth Stuber is here to answer any questions.
This is actually just a bond reduction. We will continue to hold an erosion control bond. For Brentwood Section 2, everything is up and operational as far as erosion control, so we'd like to reduce it from $32,400 to $10,000.
Magistrate Greenwell.
Judge, I will make that motion. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded that the erosion control bond on the Brentwood subdivision, Section 2, be reduced to $10,000. Magistrate Dye.
Yeah, Beth, on Section 2, are they started construction of any houses there?
No, they've not. They're doing quite a few in Section 1, but no, not in Section 2.
Do you have any idea how many houses are in Section 2? I think there's 73 in Section 1, I believe.
I think it's a smaller, I'm thinking 40, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
And $10,000 would cover any possible, because there's no roads in per se.
In section 2, yeah, all the roads are in, all the grates are in. All that really remains for the developer to be responsible for is to maintain the erosion control on the grate inlet grates, which he does have in place. The burden of most of the other erosion control will fall to the individual builders.
And you do have an inspection, on-site inspection for this that?
Yes.
What they've got.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And to answer your question a little bit more, Magistrate Dye, the second section lays considerably better than what the first section does. So it's a whole lot flatter and less likely to erode, I think.
Certainly.
All right, are there any other questions about or comments here? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Time now for our meeting. This is the first meeting of the year. It's going by pretty fast. There hadn't been a lot of additional new business begun at this point, but we're on for our second public comment here. If anybody would like to, who's come in or spoke earlier, would like to speak again, you're able to do so. All right, seeing no one, I'm going to close the public comment and ask for comments from our magistrates before we wind things up today. I guess we can start with Magistrate Likens.
I don't have anything, Your Honor. Just want to wish everybody a Happy New Year.
All right, Magistrate Tice.
Nothing for me at this time. Thank you, Judge.
Magistrate Leslie.
Yes, I'd like to ask Beth after the meeting a couple of questions.
Magistrate Greenwell.
Thank you, Judge. I just would like to thank our directors, who are an excellent group of people that they can just answer questions on the fly like Kevin Nuss did today, and is very knowledgeable in what they do, and that's across the board. That's everybody.
Magistrate Sparks.
Yeah, Judge, a couple of things. I'd like to ask, is there any other place in our county that we constantly have a requirement to have people rescued every time it rains, or it seems like every other time it rains? I can't really think of any, but maybe the chief knows better than I. He's shaking his head no. But once again, we had a decent rain in the county, and Ash Avenue flooded. And they had to do a water rescue from somebody who got stuck down there. And it's not the first one. And one of my residents that lives on Ash Avenue, he asked me a pretty good question, because they've repeatedly asked, we have the funding to do the improvements down there. The state said we're going to get to it and everything. And I call, and Beth gives me schedules. I really appreciate her work there. But it seems like everything is just never happens. My opponent in the last election actually had commented that, it had been 4 years and nothing still had happened in my first term, and I kind of agreed. At some point we had made a lot of progress, but we didn't see any dirt turning. And so I brought some pictures today. If Sheila would like to show them, I'd appreciate it. But just so the magistrates can see, this is no...
Beth, will you come up and put these pictures on the screen?
Yeah, I think they're on the screen
you
now,
have them?
Judge.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Right there, you can see they're doing a water rescue, and the road's completely overrun, and, a good 50 feet going next to the road's overrun. But what my resident asked me was a pretty good question. He said, how many rescues do we have to do, and do we have to wait until somebody's injured there before we actually get this done? So I'd like to ask if there's any way possible we get the work down there expedited as soon as the weather clears. I've called the state road guys and talked to them, but I'd love it if we as a court, or the judge as our lead, called and talked to them, because right there, that picture you're looking at there, there's a 5 foot deep by at least 5 foot wide ditch running through there, and it's completely overflowing. And that also goes not only over Ash Avenue, but over the entrance to the subdivision that I live in. So it's a real danger. I think. And so maybe Beth could just briefly tell us the scheduling on when the estimate is for it. I have that schedule you gave me before if you don't have it. Okay.
So
We can change it.
the plan completion was at the end of the year, and I called and talked to the engineer. They do have it ready for submittal. I guess they're a few days behind, but they're getting that to KYTC. And they still appear to be on schedule for construction in October through December of this year. There are some requests in for additional funding so we can replace an additional culvert under the entrance to the subdivision. This project that we're talking about that I've been working on, JD and the magistrates for, I guess, the past 10 years, this is only one section of it in front of Ashbrook subdivision, roughly. It will not solve everything. We're hoping that it will make a significant improvement. We still have some issues further down, close to Shelby County. There are at least one of the engineers with KYTC is very much wanting to fight to get some additional funding to help control some of the issues down there also. That's a significant amount more money when they bring the connection from Old Henry through, to see if there's anything we can do at that time. As much as we'd like to get out there quicker, I think for KYTC, this is an aggressive schedule.
Okay, thank you, Beth. That's a serious problem. We've been working on it ever since, this administration began. We've been on it 5 years. We've asked. 2 years ago, Ernie Harris did get, I think, $300,000 put in the state budget for an engineering study. There have been studies before that. More money has been allocated for additional studies. Study after study, I feel your frustration. We'd like something to happen. It comes out to the point where the rubber meets the road, not enough money to go around for everything, and how some things get ahead and others fall behind. I'm not exactly sure. Magistrate Sparks and I have spoken today about having a meeting with Governor Bevin next month on, I believe, February 18th, the legislative day when most of us will be in Frankfurt. I hope we can go to the governor and take him these pictures, show him what we have here, and ask for help. I agree. We have pushed. We have not sat back and ignored this or not been concerned about the safety of individuals there. But moving this project forward's been like pushing a boxcar down a railroad track. I mean, we're getting it, but it can't move fast enough to satisfy us or the people who live there. So don't give up on us. We're trying, and I hope that we'll put these pictures out in front of Governor Bevin and tell him we need a hand, and I'm sure it will be one of many who are asking for help, but see what our chances are.
Beth, I was looking at my phone, and you may have answered this, I don't think so, but what can they do to alleviate the problem? In other words, I've grown up in this county all my life. Ash Avenue probably rarely ever flooded, but because of the neighborhoods and rooftops and pavement and everything like that, what can they do to a ditch or a stream or whatever like that to alleviate this problem?
Well, I think that's been a little bit of the problem. It's a multifaceted fix. And we've gone forward with this first fix in front of Ashbrook because through one of the studies, they feel that this is the most improvement for the money and will affect the most people. But there's a whole different situation down the county line. You've also got a creek that is right next to the road, and there's really no place to move it. So there are a lot of physical restraints, unfortunately, to move that water through. And you're right, that area has saw significant development at a time when there wasn't a lot of attention paid to drainage issues. And also there's age in that neighborhood too, which contributes to what was there starting to fail. So there are a number of different steps.
I'd say the creek beside the road is a major factor, and that's pretty unique and unusual.
And also, it's kind of downhill from Pee Wee Valley, so all those subdivisions roll on down right into that road, basically. So, absolutely.
We have other neighborhoods and other spots that do see a lot of flooding in the road, and right in front of, near where Magistrate Eldridge lives on Old Moody has had significant issues, but this is the one where we see the water rescues. We have, bound by the river, the streets that we have to block off due to flooding, but this is the spot where the water rescues happen.
Measure die.
They've been talking about this even before I was on court, but I'm going to have to ask the obvious question. Do they have any signage up there? I've been through there and I don't recall it because I wasn't looking for it, I guess. But do they have any signage about high water, don't drive through, it's flooding? I saw that car and I'm thinking to myself, I'm sure the water pushed that car over. But I'm looking at this and I don't think I would take that on, even with my Dodge Ram.
I do not think there is any signage in the state road, but we'd certainly suggest that
I can
they
see
do
in the
something.
daylight, you might see it say, no, I probably won't do this, but at night it is kind of, you can be fooled by the shadows and such, but I think signage might be, it's not certainly not a fix, but it would certainly at least slow down the chance of someone getting hurt.
Is that Mr. Obvious?
Very inexpensive.
Mr. Obvious here.
I agree. And, all right,
more.
one more? Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Thanks, Beth, I appreciate it. Yeah, next one's not you.
Was there a road under that?
I wanted to also bring up a issue, or not an issue,
I
but...
think you need to go down to the front to bring up this issue.
Okay, I can do that. We already got the sign up there. I'm here representing the Republican Party of Oldham County today. We are going to be holding our presidential caucus on March 5th, 2016. That will replace the presidential part of your voting on primary day, which comes in May. So the only position that we'll be voting for on March 5th is who will be the presidential selection from Kentucky for all of Kentucky. This is kind of a historic change that's taken place, and one of the reasons that the Republican Party has initiated it is they feel that it will make us a bit more of a player in national politics. Usually during a presidential election, no candidates really come to Kentucky unless they're coming for a big fundraiser. So I believe 7 of the candidates have already signed on and paid significant fees to be on the ballot in Kentucky. And what I'm doing here today is not only letting people know that we'll be voting on March 5th from 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and that is a Saturday, at the John Black Center. So everybody in the county who's a registered Republican will vote at the John Black Center on that day. But to let you know, you don't have to re-register to vote. If you're a registered Republican, you're ready to vote on that day in the primary. If you have any additional questions, we have information at oldhamgop.com or the rpk.org/caucus. They have information. But what we're also seeking is volunteers to help us on that day. Usually during a primary, there's funding from the state that pays your volunteers to man the polls. Well, we don't have that kind of funding, so we're looking for volunteers. And since it's just one location, we can pool all of our people together. We're looking for about 30 to 35 volunteers. And as long as you're not on the ballot, you're able to volunteer. So elected officials who want to volunteer are welcome to do that. It's going to be kind of a more of a festive kind of situation because it's a caucus. It's not just a walk in and vote and nobody's allowed to electioneer in the area. We'll actually have 2 sections to our voting area. One will be tables where candidates can put flyers, political organizations can put flyers. They can answer questions for voters. People can mingle around. We'll have refreshments there also. And then when they've made their decision, they can go in and vote, and then they can either come back and hang out or they can leave. Is my 4 minutes up? All right, Judge. Just one last thing, if anybody would like to volunteer, please give me a call at 502-693-8022. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Magistrate Eldridge.
Thank you, Judge. Was a significant storm that we had. Moody Lane, which has been greatly helped by some work in the past and had not been flooding regularly, did flood during this storm. I appreciate everybody's patience with that. Also, I've spoken in regard to Moody Lane. There's a section of guardrail down. Spoke to Tony Harrod with the state this week. They'll be getting out to fix that. Thank you.
Magistrate Dye.
Yes, I'd like to thank the road department. They, there was a tree down on Hounds Lane. They got in there and got it out of the way and cut up, and appreciate it. Thank you.
Just a couple
Magistrate
things.
Logston.
Couple things, Judge. Just remember, Highway 22 is a mess right now. It's very dangerous. I've lived on that road my whole life, and it twists and turns right now. So please be careful. Please obey the speed limit. The second thing, I believe the lights on Highway 329, that 4-lane, are getting closer and closer to getting turned on. Saw them out there working yesterday. So please be careful when that comes on to make sure you recognize the caution lights. I guess will be on for a week or so before they'll turn them on. The other thing, I was listening to y'all's conversation about Ash Avenue, and that's a very dangerous. The water. I've gone down there most of the time when it rains real fast. I'll go down there and make sure, see if the water's getting over the road, so I can call somebody to make it happen. But we're one voice on here representing the people. If I was living on Ash Avenue, I would be calling Senator Harris and Osborne practically every day until you get something done, because the greasy wheel always gets to the grease. So that is a dangerous spot down there, and if you just stay on them, I'm sure they'll dump some money there eventually. But 22 for 20 years, that thing's going to be widened. So the wheels of progress don't move all that fast in the state. So, the faster you get on these people and stay on them, the better off you're going to be getting some money allocated down there. But that would be my suggestion.
Did you mean the squeaky wheel gets the grease? Well, you said the greasy. You said the greasy wheel gets the grease.
Gets the grease. Yeah. That don't make no sense.
I'm sorry. I couldn't pass that.
Couldn't help it, could you, Judge?
You might also.
That's something that I'd say. So
you know what I meant.
No one else
we got your point. I want to, for just a second, tread back to that alcohol enforcement question that came up earlier with Mr. Key and Mr. Watering. When you think about that, any tax money raised off alcohol is supposed to be dedicated toward making the community safer and for enforcement. When you think of enforcement, the first thing you think of is a policeman pulling somebody over for too much DUI or something, or underage person going in buying something they shouldn't. But there are other parts of enforcement, namely we'll have an ABC administrator. We'll have to have licensing. We'll have to have compliance. People will have to sell certain amounts of food in their establishment to qualify under some circumstances. This is a really complicated series of laws that go together, and they have to be administered. There's a cost to that the county doesn't have right now, and that's part of what is picked up through the enforcement fee. Is it possible to have your enforcement collect too much money, a lot more than you need? I think it could be easily said that way, but there is some new expense that does come along that's not readily apparent. So we'll be sorting these things out and listening to voices and the points of view in the community, and it's not a matter of putting a big fee on something so we get a lot of extra money to do something we weren't doing before. But there are things that do come along before that have some extra expense. The fiscal court didn't pass the ordinance, we're going to pass an ordinance, but the community voted in favor of moving forward with this. So another thing I'd like to mention today is that you've seen, if you go on 146, there's site work going on for the new county jail that's being built. They're making progress. We have had rain. They have to slow up when it gets wet out there. Fortunately, that ground drains pretty nicely, and they've been able to move along. We also have a new 4-lane road that's going to go through Oldham Reserve. The contract has been let, and we expect construction to start there probably in the next 30 days, would you say? It's, meetings are being held to think about how that road is going to come out at Blakemore Lane and Highway 53, and that's going to be a tremendous 2-mile, 4-lane addition through Oldham Reserve, and we're excited about that because we are praying that's going to unlock a big opportunity for moving businesses, quality businesses, into our office park. I also like to mention the county has a new website, and we've launched this. We haven't said much about it. It's been up for a couple of weeks. Go to oldhamcountyky.gov, oldhamcountyky.gov. The website works fine on a larger screen computer. I'm not happy right now with telephones or iPads. They look okay, but there's some aspects of it I'd like to see improved. But we have a lot of information on there about Oldham County, access to forums and people and contact points. So go on there, look at it. If you run across something that's not functioning just right, let us know. We've tried to really iron out all functionality issues so it works perfectly, but I think it presents our county in a nice light. We have roughly somewhere between the 3,000 and 4,000 hits a week on our website. And in the website world, that may not be a lot, but if they were all standing in here, we think it was a lot of people. So we're getting traffic on our website, and we want our county to put its best foot forward and let everybody know that we're a good place to be, easy place to do business with, nice place to live. So oldhamcountyky.gov.
Judge?
Yes, sir.
When you're mentioning the alcohol tax possibility, I might be wrong, but I was told that LaGrange used part of their tax to purchase a new vehicle. Well, we just had a vehicle totaled today. We could have been able to purchase a new vehicle with that. And also, when they were talking about it, didn't they say that they had studies that showed that counties that were wet had less traffic accidents due to drinking than dry counties? So
I heard something about that, but really don't know where that came from or how it came. But the fact of the matter is that the community voted in favor of this by a substantial margin, so we will take it and work with it and do the best we can to have it executed well, effectively, and satisfactorily to the community. Magistrate Greenwell?
A question and a comment, Judge. To Magistrate Dye's suggestion about signage on Ash Avenue, there's a new catchphrase that officials and news people are using called "turn around, don't drown." I think that would be very appropriate to put on a sign and put it at both ends of that place right there. Magistrate Sparks, on the Republican caucus, how soon after the voting's over with will we know the results?
I honestly don't know, but I believe it'll be the end of that day.
Okay.
We're only counting up one position, but they are issued proportionally, so I'm sure they'll have to negotiate at some level. But we'll count ours locally and send them to the state that night.
Okay.
All right, is there anything else? Magistrate Leslie?
Can we vote multiple times?
I guess if you're a Democrat or you live in Chicago.
Okay, well, wait a minute now.
I'm just joking.
All right, it's now 3:05. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
The state put in those water and roadway signs on Moody. On